Good morning and welcome to the DFS YouTube channel. I'm Razzle11 and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Going to take a look at some pitching for today, the 6th of September. It is Saturday. We do have a 3-game day slate and a 9-game main slate ahead of us this evening. Do have a couple places with some weather. Toronto, New York in this early slate should start fine. Sounds like there's some pop-ups in the area in the afternoon, and there's some pretty severe pop-ups, so if they do pop up over the ballpark, could be game over at that point. From all the different timing models and everything that I've seen and all the words, seems like that's going to be much later, so I think starting pitching are going to be fine in this one. On the main slate, we do have some slight rain in Baltimore potentially. More of the pop-up issues in Tampa Bay. Similar to yesterday's thoughts. Not as light as Thursday's, I think it was. Or maybe it was Wednesday. I don't remember for sure. But it's a time of year where we do get some pop-ups in Florida for sure. I think everything else should be pretty good. Maybe some slight chances in Atlanta. Wind blowing out / across to right field in Wrigley. Decent sized win, so bump to hitting in that one. But a reminder, this is a first look at the pitching options, and I will be looking at DraftKings as that is where a majority of my action is. If you do play in FanDuel, I cut my pool in half or so. Pricing isn't quite as tight. You don't have to be as creative. It allows you to get stacks you want with an upper tier-ish pitcher. Now with all that said and done, let's just jump into this 3-gamer real quick. Boyd, if the wind wasn't blowing to that right field at Wrigley, I'd be all about Boyd. He has not looked good the last 3 starts. Not the best in the last 5 overall. Washington, obviously a pretty solid matchup for him. Over 21 fantasy points the first time he faced him. Would have approached 26 if he would have been able to pick up the win. He has been at his best when at home. Obviously, that's a double-edged sword, but he is 10-0 in 12 starts at home. It's a pretty strong number, averaging nearly 23 fantasy points per game at home. I'm going to use him, but I'm going to be a little annoyed. Looking at the lineups or the options we have, like we have to go heavier on him, but that's just a scary spot with that wind. Thankfully, it's not like 18 to 20. It's more like 12 to 15, but still, it's a pretty solid boost. I think the game total's around 9. Maybe it's gotten to 9.5 at this point. Luzardo going back to Miami to take on his former team. Has made 2 starts against them this season. One pretty bad one in Miami. And I believe the other one was pretty solid. Yep, 23 fantasy points the first time he faced him. He is volatile. He's kind of all over the place. Miami doesn't strike out as much as you'd like, but still, he's probably the safest, quote-unquote, SP on this slate, which feels gross to say. But I will definitely be heavy on him. Bassett, Luis Gil, obviously, Hill has plenty of upside, but he hasn't really shown it. The last 2 starts have been better. It's a tough matchup against a team that just doesn't strike out all that much. Probably going to pass on Luis Gil. I will play some Bassett. 3 starts against the Yankees, averaged 20 plus, just over 20 fantasy points. The one issue here is his one bad start against the Yankees came on the road. Matching his road woes all season long. That's where he's at here. Just makes it really tough to trust him. I am going to sprinkle in some Bassett. I might sprinkle in some Gil now that I think about it, but he'd probably be my lowest owned pitcher if I do go there. Bassett, probably my second lowest owned. A guy I like above them, probably Sandy Alcantara, just for GPP upside. It's not the best matchup by any means. Obviously, Philly can destroy him. He's at his best when at home. Needs to cut back on the walks. Really settled in, throwing a lot of pitches, but 23 plus fantasy points in 4 straight starts. looking so much stronger than he did early in the season. I'm interested, even though it is a volatile spot. Heading over to the main slate today, Dodgers, Orioles, Yamamoto, coming off of in a pretty impressive start against Arizona. Pretty solid performance against San Diego before that. Decent performance in Coors. If we include this, 18 plus in 7 out of his last 8 starts. Recent trends really strong. And 5 of those 8 starts have been on the road. 5 of those, strong starts, I guess, have been on the road. So that's where he's at today. It is a ballpark that's made for some more offense, but still, Yamamoto is somebody I want to utilize. Trevor Rogers, been really strong all season. Just continues to get it done. Obviously, don't love picking on the Dodgers, but I do think that Rogers is viable on the slate against the Dodgers bats, and I will be utilizing him a decent chunk. If I had to guess, maybe 18 to 25%, somewhere in that range. Shane Baz, Tanner Bybee, 2 guys that I'm probably going to pass on here. Bybee on the road has been terrible. Obviously, this ballpark, pretty solid for hitting. And Shane Baz at home has been horrendous. Whip of 153, 18 home runs in 72 innings. That's basically 2 per 9. Like 1.98 or something. So, just not the best spot. Did rack up strikeouts the first time he did face Cleveland, but still, I'm just not excited to use him. I know Cleveland doesn't exactly have a ton of power, but still, Boss's at home numbers are just so bad that I'm not really interested in trusting him. Waldrop, pretty solid start last time out. Might have been his career high in strikeouts at 9. 4 walks were a little annoying, but still pretty solid. There's plenty of upside in this matchup against Seattle. Plenty of volatility too, but his 2 starts at home have been absolutely phenomenal. So I am going to rely on Waldrop a bit in my builds. Bryce Miller, pretty solid start last time out, all things considered. Strikeouts haven't really been there. He's had a high of 4 going back to April. It's not a bad matchup, but I think Miller just lacks the upside we're looking for, so I'm going to end up passing on him at this point. Houston and Texas, DeGrom. 2 starts averaging over 27 fantasy points against Houston. His numbers at home, pretty strong from an ERA standpoint. Some of his rates kind of take a hit. Fewer home runs allowed, but his strikeout rate has been lower. With that said, those are dominant performances against Houston. Just 2 solo home runs allowed. It's hard to ignore what DeGrom has done and is capable of doing. Especially, probably against a very right-hand heavy lineup. I think that plays into him a bit. So, DeGrom definitely going to be in play. Hunter Brown getting an extra day or 2 of rest here. Talked about him on the video yesterday or the day before. He's obviously a very strong pitcher. His second half is nowhere near as strong as first half. He's 0-2 against Texas, but despite losing both of those matchups, he's averaging nearly 25 DK points per start. Really strong numbers. It's a volatile spot, but I think the overall Texas lineup is weak enough for Hunter Brown. I don't want to be too invested in him just because he has not really shown a ton of upside in the second half. His best start since the All-Star break, which I think is here, 22 fantasy points. 3 starts of 20 plus, but still, ceiling-wise 22. K numbers have really come down in the second half as well. I am going to utilize him just because I think he can get there, but I'm not as confident as I would have been in the first half of the season. Verlander coming off of a big-time performance. It was at home, but the St. Louis ballpark is pretty decent for pitching as well. He has struggled on the road this season, though. Probably can't get to Verlander just because I don't think there's enough K upside in this matchup against St. Louis, and I have no interest in Payante at this point. Minnesota, Kansas City. Joe Ryan, definitely someone I'm going to utilize. Coming off of a dominant performance against the San Diego squad that just doesn't strike out all that much, yet he managed to pick up 8 Ks in that one. Taking on a Kansas City squad that he's allowed just a solo home run to across 2 starts. Ks haven't really been there, but still the wins have, etc. His overall numbers pretty dominant against them. His road numbers are even better than when he's at home from an overall standpoint. His K rate takes a little bit of hit, but that's all right. I will be using Joe Ryan, and I don't exactly use a lot of pitching against Kansas City at this point. Kolek, he's probably fine. I just don't think he has upside. Since that start on May 22nd, his K high is 5, multiple times, but still, he does also have just as many 2s and 3s in that stretch. I just don't think there's a whole lot of upside for him. On a 9-game slate, I think it's somewhat easier to pass on at this point. Boston, Arizona. Brandon Pfaadt, his home numbers much stronger than his road numbers. He does give up a lot of hits. Base runners are there, but the fact that he's allowed just 3 home runs in 76 and a third innings is crazy, considering he's allowed 19 home runs in 70 and 2/3 on the road. His last couple starts haven't been good. 4 out of his last 5 have been pretty bad. 5 out of his last 7, roughly, have been bad as well. So recent trends just are not in his favor. I'm not sure I'm going to sprinkle him in. His K high over the last 2 months has basically been 5. 6 here, but recent trends just scream maybe pass on Pfaadt. I'm going to dig in a little bit more as the day goes on. Right now, I'm probably going to plan on passing on him, but I want to dig in a bit more and see about his stuff, see if there's just been downward trends in that. Lucas Giolito, decent start last time out against the Twins after a rough one against Philadelphia. Can obviously give up the home run ball. Walks could be an issue. Strikeouts have kind of teetered down a little bit. He's been at his best when away from Fenway, which is where he's at this evening. Does give up more home runs on the road, which is obviously a worry, but a lot of his rates are better. Averaging over 3 fantasy points more per game on the road. I will be using Giolito, but I also will be, stacking a little bit of Arizona around Corbin Carroll and Ketel Marte. San Diego, Colorado, I'm just going to pass. I'm not using Randy Vasquez at this point or at any point right now. Last game, the Angels, A's. Taichi Yin or Jin. The strikeouts have been there the last 2 starts and 3 out of the last 5. But home runs allowed have been an issue. He just kind of makes mistakes in bad spots. Despite giving up 8 runs over the last 2 starts, he's still averaging 15 fantasy points per start, which means that he's able to get his fantasy points. So the one nice thing here is if he finds a way to get clean through some innings, fantasy points could rack up in a hurry. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here. I think there's plenty of upside. 7 strikeouts in 4 innings against the Angels already this season. I think there's plenty of upside. It's just super volatile. On the other side, Kikuchi, the captain of super volatility, been really strong at home, which is where he's at today. It's a dangerous spot. The A's can hit a bunch of home runs, but they also can strike out. So I definitely want to use some Kikuchi, a little bit of Gin, and so there we have it. There's our first look at pitching. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, get the alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. If you want to join us, get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, Discord, etc., I will drop links in the description below. You can use promo code KICKOFF2025 for 20% off your VIP membership for life. It's the best coupon code we've ever dropped, so check it out. Let me know what you think. And as always, you can check out the merch store, check out my design, my hoodie, all the other stuff that we do have up. Best of luck, everybody.